Yes, yes, yes. We are back again. This is the HL podcast for our HL Tuesdays, and we are still and will always be the dopest podcast in the DMV, presented to you all by the Harris Firm and Will Powered Innovations.
Yes, sir.
I am Amrock alongside your boy Chief.
In the building.
This is our sixth official episode of HL Interviews, where we will be sitting down and interviewing upcoming and established Black entrepreneurs, activists, educators, entertainers, politicians, etc., just to learn more about them, their businesses, and their plans to ultimately help the Black community. The fifth issue of the HL magazine will be here at the end of October. The cover is done courtesy of Visions That Transcend.
That was a project.
That will be dropping very soon. Please check out the first four issues that we have on the HL magazine right now. That's available on IG. All right. Thank you all for following us on Facebook, TikTok, and IG at the HL Podcast. All of our previous episodes and recent interviews are available on all major podcast platforms. Also, check us out on our YouTube channel at the HL Podcast. And we are also available on the Roku platform, courtesy of our partnership with Politic and Broadcasting. Shout out to Sir Juan out in LA. You can view this episode and more on the Politic and app. Please download that right now. All right. And lastly, a very special shout out to the StreamYard platform, as we are broadcasting live across multiple platforms right now: Facebook, Politic, and what else are we on right now?
Roku.
Yes.
Soon to be Apple TV.
All of those right now. So check us out live right now.
Yeah. So before we start, how you feeling today, bro? I know it's been a day. While we wait for our guests to come on, tell them folks how you feeling today.
Man, it's definitely been a day. It's a honey jack and ginger ale type of day. I think our guest is on.
Let's see.
Is our guest on right now? Yeah, let's chime him in.
Let's see.
What's good, man?
Unmute your mic.
Oh, sorry about that. What's going on, guys? Good to see y'all.
What's going on, man?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Just this is lit. It's official.
Yeah. We serious, man.
It's super crazy. Trying to switch all over to my.
How's everything been?
Everything's been well, man. How's everything with you?
Everything's been good, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, everything's on the up and up. Can't complain at this point. Every day above ground is a great day.
Exactly, gentlemen. Exactly. Yeah, it's been a rough year. It's been a super rough year.
Yeah.
So we gotta count our blessings and just hang in there.
So my peoples, this is our boy Juan Pierce from RVA. This is our guy.
Facts.
Amrock knew him for a while. Used to see him in the clubs all the time back in the day.
Yeah, Virginia State days.
Yes, definitely. So let's tell the people what's your personal mission statement you have for this year.
First, I gotta tell the people how y'all used to be in the club wilding back in Virginia.
Full disclosure.
They real calm right now. Y'all don't know these guys, man.
Right. Hey, we grew up, man.
Yeah, we grew up, you know. Right.
Okay. All right. I ain't gonna get nobody. PG.
Right.
As far as a mission statement, I'm Juan Pierce. I do events here in Richmond, Virginia, DC, and New York City. And are you still there?
Yeah, we still there. We just put the spotlight on you, man.
Yeah, I do events in Richmond, Virginia, Washington, D.C., New York City weekly, and I also do events abroad in other cities. I've done events in Charlotte, North Carolina, Arlington, Virginia, Virginia Beach, Atlanta, Georgia, Orlando, and have some stuff coming up in other places. But COVID kind of, put everything on hold for me,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
All right, that's what's up. So let me ask you, how and when did you get your start on party promotion? Why was the choice? Why was that the choice at the time?
It really wasn't the choice at the time. It kind of just happened. And
Okay.
in high school, I was doing music. So I was working for SpreadHipHop.com. I was going to Holland Springs, and this is the MySpace era. I'm showing my age right now, but this is
All right.
back when
You good, man?
MySpace was prominent, and I was doing music heavy. I was part of I don't know if you remember who Loaded Lux is, but I was a
Yep.
part of his movement, Aces Click. And my music, I had 100,000 plays on MySpace, and you know, I was just going hard, and everybody in my school district had laptops. Everybody's listening to my music, so I had teen party promoters and reach out to me when I was around 16 and started booking me to host teen parties and come perform at teen parties and stuff like that. Then when I turned 17, I had club owners coming to me directly, hitting me up, asking me to come host, asking me to promote, and just paying me here and there. And I saw how many people I had coming out, and I was like, why am I not doing this myself?
Right.
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 Did my first event, and it was a flop. First event ever. Not a soul showed up. It was a team party, and I had to sit back and like evaluate. And I feel like I made it a little bit too much about you know me and Aces Click, everything like that. And so the next one, I put a theme with it. I recruited a bunch of women, and I really put more thought and detail in it. Came up with a crazy theme. Second event ever, capacity, line out the door. It was
Dope.
That's
big.
what's up.
After I got a taste of that, and I started making a little bit of money from it. I was doing it here and there. Moved out of Richmond for a little bit. Moved back to Richmond. Got a regular job, and I was like, yo, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so I started doing events again, and I started making money. And me and one of my business partners, Terrence, we hooked up, and we created this thing called NLP, which was No Limitations Promotions.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we started doing events at a small bar here called Element Lounge, but we was definitely pushing capacity, and we was doing it every week. And after about a year of NLP events, we decided to do other things. And I reached out to another guy, started a new company called Climatic Nation, and we really started expanding. Bigger venues, bigger team. I had a 60-person street team. Expanded to more universities, and also started doing events in DC as well on a weekly basis. So it was all over the place. So it really, you know, just got me into the whole music thing, just knowing a lot of people from
Right.
school. And, it just made it real easy to connect with people.
That's what's up. That's
Dope,
what's
man.
up. And I heard you speak a little bit about marketing, which actually leads to our next question. How were you able to switch to marketing, effective marketing at that? Because I heard a lot of effective marketing that you was speaking of, hosting an event planner after starting in party promoting.
Well, the game has changed so much over the years, and it's always changing. You always have to just figure out how to adapt to it, especially Richmond, especially the bigger markets. But every market is a little bit different. Some things that might work here may not work in other places, and things that work in bigger cities definitely might not work here because when you're in a smaller city, you have smaller mentality. People aren't really hip to things immediately. They're kind of standoffish, so they're like, I don't know, I ain't seen that before, I ain't did
Right.
that.
Right.
Right.
That's how it was, especially when I started doing silent headphone parties in Richmond. People were like, I don't know what the fuck is this.
Yep.
And when I was young, I really I was doing a lot of marketing before I knew I was doing marketing. So like with
Okay.
my music, through MySpace, I was literally every day. I was DMing as many women as I could, and I was just hitting them up like, "Hey, I do music. This is what I'm a part of this movement.
Right.
Can you check it out? If you like it, can you put this song on your page?" And so many women started doing that for me as a favor. They started,
Wow.
taking my songs put on their page, and I'm talking about strippers, regular chicks, mad pretty girls, and I would research different zip codes because MySpace, you can look people up by zip codes. So
Yep.
I would
Mm-hmm.
look and figure out different cities. Then I, all over the US, I was hitting people up. Then I started hitting people up in Paris, started hitting people up in Russia, started hitting people up in
Wow.
Spain. And I just kept doing it, just kept going and going and going. And my
Mhm.
following grew.
Wow.
But once I got into the Facebook era, I had to switch that again because now it was a thing of college kids.
Yep.
And I moved
Yeah.
back to Richmond and I wanted a niche. I wanted to do events that wouldn't get shot up, people wouldn't be fighting that. So
Right. Right.
I went to
Uh-huh.
VCU and I kind of just I watched everything for a little bit. I didn't move immediately. I just started to watch what was going on. I figured out who all the promoters were in the area. Then I
Yeah.
had to figure out who their target audiences were. So once I figured that out, I figured out who they had and who they really didn't have. And at that time, that I moved back, nobody really had VCU freshmen or sophomores really on lock. They had a lot of the juniors and seniors, and these are people who've been here forever.
Right.
But I went to VCU's campus, and they used to have a little Caesars on campus, right? So I would get a bunch of $5 pizzas, and I would literally go sit on campus and give out pizza and introduce myself to people.
That's smart. Oh
Yeah,
my
Smart
I
as
did
hell.
goodness.
that. Yeah, and while the whole time I was doing that, I was already following on Facebook as many people as I could. I was going through followers, all the prettiest girls, all the cheerleaders, all the Greeks, everything. Like girls who were friends with this person. I was following them. So when I would introduce myself, they'd be like, "Oh snap, you're the dude from Facebook." They were like, "I was
Right.
watching
Right.
you before."
Right.
So it was sort of like I got them online, I got them in person, and I started to build a bond with people, and I created my niche group, and I started doing events that tailored specifically to them, and then I grew with them as they got older.
Right.
We started moving to nicer venues and stuff like that. Because at first I was doing pajama parties at like this Caribbean
Mm.
restaurant, like it was a sweatbox. But it got the job done. It got me established with the audience, and then next year, all right, now we're dressing it up. Now we dressing better. We getting a little bit older. We're partying different. The venues are getting nicer, and just over time, it just grew and expanded. But the main focus was always having people know me and me knowing people because your network is really important when you're doing
Agreed.
something
Yeah.
like this. So you have to literally, people have to know who you are. You have to know who the people are who I don't want to say who matter, but the people who are the alphas in different groups, who are the social gatekeepers.
Yeah, I
Makes
agree.
sense.
And I'm glad you explained that to everybody because all I'm hearing is consistency and patience pays off.
Right.
We try to skip that because the Instagram world is the microwave world instead of the slow cooker world. I like to, say that a lot because they show you before and then they go straight to the after. They don't show you that little line
Right.
in between that takes purpose, consistency, patience, all of the above. And you
Yep.
explaining that to us and everyone else. That's
Yeah.
humongous. So we appreciate that. So let me ask you, what has been the biggest challenge for you so far up until this point?
Besides COVID,
Yeah, besides COVID,
Yeah.
yeah.
oh man, because I could write a book about this shit. I think just over the years, just trusting yourself and really ascending, through different years. Like every year, there's a newer promoter. There's somebody new.
Right.
There's somebody who's trying to take a spot, whatever. But I found that instead of competing, it's better to create your own lane. If
Yep.
you create your
Yep.
own lane, you don't really have to worry about what anybody else is doing because at first we were going to war. Like promoters in here in Richmond were like damn near like street gangs, because we're deep, everybody's beefing, everybody's territorial over different spots, and people saying, "Oh, don't go here this night, don't go there," this, whatever, and that got old real quick. So at a certain point, I think probably like 5-6 years ago, maybe longer than that, I just decided to block everybody on
Okay.
social media.
Wow.
Like anybody that I felt was competition, and I didn't want to see what they were doing, which other companies, big companies, they'll be like, yo, why would you do that? Like bigger companies are always doing market research. They're figuring out what their competitors are doing. And me, I decided that that wasn't working for me, mentally, or, just it just wasn't working for the ecosystem of nightlife in Richmond. But I decided to reach out to different markets. I decided to not only do hip hop events, but I started doing EDM events. I started doing
smart.
hip hop shows. I started doing concerts. I started doing spoken word. I started to do reggaeton, bachata events. I've done bongo parties. I started reaching out to different races. I started to make myself known in different communities, with
Right.
the Asians, the Latinos, the, Middle Easterns, the,
Right.
Africans, everything, Afrobeat music, reggae, like everything. Like there's so many other lanes out there. So once I blocked off, I feel like the world as far as nightlife here, I created my own. I created my own reality.
Yep.
And when you create your own realm, you control everything within that. Like it doesn't
Easy.
matter what anybody else is doing, because this is something so unique that
Easy.
whatever happens else in the world does not matter, because this event is so unique that these people are coming, And I started looking at it like percentages, right? Because I reverse engineer a lot. So when I want an outcome, I say this is the outcome I want, right? And then I reverse engineer and said, how did I get here, right? So if I want a packed event, or I want a certain capacity, I need to figure out what's the most effective way to put this many people in here, and then I
Right.
always overkill. So if I need to put 100 people in the room, I can personally invite 100 people, or I can just invite 10 people and say, hey, bring 9 people with you.
That's
Or
smart.
or I can take it back and say, I'm going to invite 100 people, but I'm going to ask 100 people to bring 9 people with them. That's overkill. So it's sort of like I always try to strive for overkill for certain events, especially the big ones and stuff like that. But I also look at it like, all right, what's the market in Richmond, right? What's the market in DC? What's the market in New York? And for Richmond, for some of my events, I started diversifying them. So I may know that, okay, the black market at this certain age group, they're going to this other place, right? I only need maybe 20% of them, but also I need 20% of the white community. I need 20% of the Hispanic community. I need 20% of
Right.
African community. So when I started going after these different niche groups and making them one super group, I didn't have to really worry about if it's gonna pop or not, if it's gonna be a slow night, if it's gonna be whatever, because I was literally building my own reality as far as nightlife here.
Yeah, that's smart. Appreciate once
Yeah.
again for you explaining that to
Absolutely.
all of us. I mean, that's like the epitome of, like, I listen to Dr. Miles Monroe a lot, but he always talks about the mango tree, and that the mango tree never pick up the roots and go give the mangoes to the people. Everybody else come to the tree for the mangoes, the fruit being your purpose, the fruit being your gift. So you're at the point where everybody's literally coming to you now. And
Yeah.
like you said, you creating your own lane. So speaking of your own lane, the hashtag Socialized Saturdays. Tell the folks, what does that mean to you? You know, what does it mean? What is it about? Give it to us.
Okay. Well, Socialized Saturdays is actually on pause right now due to COVID.
Okay.
But it's an event that I started doing at Vagabond, and it's interesting because like the owner of Vagabond now is the owner of Mama J's Soul Food Restaurant, right in Richmond. It's the biggest soul food restaurant here, and I did an event at Vagabond before he took ownership, and it was an event called Excuse My French. And Excuse My
Okay.
French was a vulgar brunch, right? It was
Wow.
the first theme brunches I did, and everything on the menu was French inspired, but it was very vulgar.
Mm.
Like and then to order it, people had to say it out loud to their wait. So you had to order it. So I had older people, younger people, and it was just so funny, seeing people blush, or hearing people say different wild things that were on that
Yeah.
menu. Um,
Real quick, what was the wildest thing you heard?
uh, it was a lot, yo. It was I'm gonna choke you out. The like something like the or the puss in my face, something like I'll pull it up. And it was pretty wild because I told the manager at the time to come up with the menu based on what foods they had and stuff like that, and they went all out. Him and the chef had a field day, so it was crazy.
Wow.
But I did that. So when he took ownership, he retained one of the managers, and they were telling him about me. So our first event that we did together was one of my different brunch events, which I'm gonna tell y'all more about a different brunch later. But I came to him like, hey, I'm doing this tour. I want to use Vagabond, and he said, listen, I've heard a lot about you, but to build our relationship, I want you to bring me a security deposit. I want you to bring me a check for $1,500. And if you hit your numbers, which I needed to hit 3K in sales, and then I get my security deposit back, and then that's when we broke everything else down. But he was like, I'll give it back to you as soon as we hit that. If not, then I'll keep it.
Mm.
I said, okay, no problem. So that particular day, I got back to Richmond late. So
Mm.
the event started at noon. I got there maybe like 1 o'clock. At 1:15, I was talking to his manager. He came and handed me the check and shook my hand. And
Wow.
from that point on, we started to establish a business relationship. So
Okay.
I've done a lot of pop-up events for about a year with Vagabond, just random Saturdays, random dates. And they called me in November and they asked me, did I want to do New Year's Eve again? And did I
Uh-huh.
want to take every Saturday? And I was like, hell yeah, let me,
Right. Yep.
so this Vagabond, like I'm not sure if y'all been there, but it's one of the sexiest venues that we have here, and it's big,
Okay.
and it's 2 levels. It reminds you of something like out of New York, DC. Like it's very
Okay. Okay.
intimate, sexy lighting. Downstairs, they call it the rabbit hole. It's very dark down there, but I mean, it's amazing. Like the decor is incredible. So I
Cool.
started doing Socialized Saturdays there weekly at the beginning of the year. And after 3 weeks, first 3 weeks, it was, building up. After that, start going to capacity every Saturday.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
About 300 people, both floors. Crazy.
Wow.
Dope.
That's what's
Dope.
up. So we heard you bring up a different brunch. This is actually a perfect time to go ahead and break it down for the folks. Tell us
Okay.
a little bit about that.
So I started a different brunch because I was doing a lot of themed brunches, and I wanted to also bring a different vibe to Richmond because I felt like at the time everybody here was monkey see, monkey do. So it was all trapped, like it was trapped out. Like every time you go to a party, all you hear is Yo Gotti,
Yep.
Gucci, Future,
Hmm.
people I don't even know. Like it was just all
Um.
rap music for 5 hours straight. And a lot of the women weren't really feeling that anymore. So you could see the scene was changing. The younger people weren't really going out to the clubs no more. They were going to house parties just because they wanted to
Right.
hear music. So I
Right.
said to myself, like, how can I put it back on track? So I wanted to do a 90s till now theme brunch. And I named it after the 90s show A Different World.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
my
made
favorite
it,
show.
Yeah.
yeah, I made it the same like logo, A Different Brunch. And I did the first one. I specifically didn't do the first one in Richmond just because Richmond is a market where sometimes you have to show people something
Mm-hmm.
successful outside of the city, then bring
Mm.
it here.
Yeah.
So I did an event in Arlington first. That was my first brunch, super successful, right? Second one ever I did in DC, Provision 14. That popped. Then I brought it to Richmond. After Richmond, I had somebody hit me up from Orlando, right? Went down to Orlando. I had never been to Orlando before in my life. Did the brunch down there, sold out, right?
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Stop after that. At that point, I had never been to Atlanta in my life. Did the brunch down there, sold out, right? And when we did Orlando, it was like an hour wait just to get inside. Like it was crazy. And
Wow.
people were leaving, they wanted to come. And once I figured out my formula of how to promote this and how to market this abroad, I started saying, okay, I want to continuously take this on the road. So I took it to Virginia Beach. Then the beginning of this year, January, I took it to New York. When I took it to New York, the event went so successful. The owner pulled me into the kitchen halfway through the event, and he's like, "Yo, how can I get you to do this every Friday?" And
Wow.
I said, "Listen, let me think about it. Let me get back to you." He was like, "No, you're not leaving this kitchen till I have an answer." And I was blessed because I have a business partner, Phil Volsky, who he went to school here. He used to promote for me when he went to Union in Richmond, and me and him linked back up. And that's my business partner up there. So when I'm not there, I don't have to worry about anything because I got him. So we started
Right.
at weekly in New York. So I was flying up maybe twice a month before COVID hit, but it was a beautiful thing. 3 floors right near Times Square. We do a midnight brunch where it's brunch from 8 p.m. until midnight, and then until 4 a.m. is just a party. And
Right.
it's 3 floors, DJs. So I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, we gotta come up for that
Yeah, for real.
New
We
York
had to
one.
move it around a little bit because of COVID. So right now we're calling it the late night brunch.
Okay.
Starting from 4, we're ending at 11. But I'm also about to start a Tuesday night in New York at that same venue. So we're gonna be doing
But
pretty much the same thing I'm doing in Richmond on Tuesdays, the tacos and tequila Tuesdays. But we're gonna be doing it in New York as well now.
No, that's what's up. I like that.
Dope.
Yeah.
So we kind of want to shift gears just a little bit. So everybody, I don't know if you watch, but I'm sure even if you didn't watch, you heard over social media about the presidential debate, right? So based on that first presidential debate, how are you feeling about where the country is with this upcoming election?
I feel that I'm in the twilight zone.
We all are, man.
Yeah, I feel like it's crazy, and right now I'm at a place where, like, I'm one of those people. I have like some Black Republicans in my family, and I'm like, so it was you. It was your fault, and I'm just trying to deal with it because right now, man, I just feel like, apart from just being liberal, I feel like there's right and wrong, and
Right.
I feel like Trump is truly an evil person.
Mhm.
Like talking about evil,
Yeah.
and I mean, president or not, I wouldn't want to shake this guy's hand. I wouldn't be
Right.
on the scene with him. I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. And it's just like, I shouldn't have to feel that way about the president of my
Agreed.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's the first racist president that we openly know about.
Yeah.
And and just because, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's not racist, whatever, and just because he's not calling me a nigga or, just saying he doesn't like black people, his actions make him racist.
Right.
To me.
Facts.
But I think he's unqualified. I think that we shouldn't even have to have a debate at this point because we should just be like, okay, we need to get this guy out of here. Biden, I'm not saying that Biden is the best candidate in the world because a lot of people don't feel like that, but I'm definitely voting for Biden. I'm definitely voting for Kamala, Kamala, but we need him out of office. So
Agreed.
people,
Definitely.
not just the people about voting, because I've heard a lot of people online say, "Oh, I'm just not going to vote." It's like, yo, that's the worst thing you could do because, especially for being black, it's like if you don't vote, you're still voting for Trump. Every time
Easily.
you don't vote, it's a vote for him because
Yep.
his base is going to vote for him regardless.
Yep.
They don't
Facts.
care that you're not voting; they're still going to vote.
Facts.
So if all the people who didn't vote, for independence or who just didn't vote in the last election would have voted for Hillary, she would have won by a landslide. But a lot of people didn't pull up to the polls because A, they didn't think he had a chance of winning. B, they may if not really like Hillary or whatever, but it's like
Yeah.
now you have to see how important this is. You have to take it serious. And our ancestors paid the ultimate price for us to even
Yep.
have the ability to vote.
Yep.
Facts. Facts.
And that narrative that people are pushing, like, oh, just don't vote or vote independent, that's like voter suppression, So
Easily.
yeah, so we have to encourage people to get registered, to vote, to get out there, and your vote does matter. You know, even if there is electoral college, like you have to research it, Google it. I don't have to explain it to you, but just figure out how it works. Don't say, "Oh, it doesn't work." That's a myth. You know, like you have to go out and vote.
Agreed.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Definitely.
Now, how, with justice still being needed for Breonna Taylor and many others, how are you feeling about the injustices happening in this country towards our Black people? And what is the pulse right now in Richmond? Because like we'll go and visit, obviously, because we still have family there. But you're there, so what is the pulse right now, specifically too with the interactions with police?
I mean, Richmond right now, like the rest of the country, is like a tinderbox. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's anything can happen any moment. I don't know if you guys saw, but when the protests first started, half of Broad Street got burned down. You know,
Mm-hmm.
buses were on fire, DTLR took the huge L, like GameStop, all those places set on fire. A lot of windows broken out of non-Black owned businesses, and some Black owned businesses got destroyed too. You know, because they just didn't know they're Black owned. But
Right.
here, you had David Marcus Peterson. He got murdered by a cop unarmed. He was having like a mental health breakdown a couple years ago. So that's been a huge thing, and they've named that circle where the last Confederate statue is for him. And people have really been beefing over these statues in the city. Like I've been out there protesting to get them down, and we have all of them down except one. That's supposed to come down soon. But this is the first time you see anti-protesters who are out there who, they have the Confederate flags. They're saying they want to keep the statues, and they're online, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook. And Trump has made it really okay to be racist. Because a lot of these people already felt this way, but they never were vocal about it. They were embarrassed almost to a point to come out and say it out loud that they don't really like us, or they want to keep these statues up and all this stuff. But now Trump got them comfortable. Coming out the woodworks.
Very comfortable.
They the Proud Boys now. I just feel like we're in a nightmare. 2020 has been that, but everything just intensified this year, and it was really on some 1960s protest shit, but hopefully, I don't think it's gonna all go away when Biden is in the White House, but eventually, I think things might get better with more Democrat legislation, especially holding police more accountable on a federal level. I think that'll help out. And the message is simple: people want more resources allocated to these communities in the first place.
Okay. Sorry, hold up. We're experiencing some technical difficulties, people. Hold on one second. Hey, Juan, can you hear us? Well, our guest, Juan Pierce, hopefully he will chime back in. Hold on one second. All right. Got him back.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I don't know.
You good, man?
Yeah, but a lot of people are switching the narrative, making it something that it doesn't need to be. And it's simple, man. Like if we can get to these people young, and we can give them better lives, then there might not be as much crime. Have to give people better opportunities. But when you're stuffing people in the projects and they're all living around disparity, and all they see is struggle, and all they see is drug use, and all they see is violence, like that's what they become, because they're not born violent. They're not born drug users or drug dealers whatever. But they have to adapt to their environment.
Facts.
Agreed.
They have to
Agreed.
survive, or they have to try to survive. And that's what a lot of people are doing. Like I see all these murders, like in Richmond, especially. Like almost every day, people get murdered here. Chicago,
Mm.
people get murdered all the time. But that's one of those things where they have to live that lifestyle because they feel like that is the only way for them. Like if they
Yep.
don't carry a gun, they feel like it's going to be them. So it's them
Yep.
or the other person.
That's
Sometimes
right.
it
Yep.
is them. Sometimes it is the other person. And unless you're really like a part of those communities, or you really go to those communities to understand, you won't understand. And I
Facts.
remember when I was young in school, and I grew up in inner city Richmond, and Richmond used to be way worse than it is now.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh
when I
yeah.
was in sixth grade, I went to school with metal detectors, right? So people fighting all the time, and I was getting suspended all the time for fights. And I would have family members who didn't live where I lived. They would tell me, "Oh, why don't you just ignore people, turn the other cheek?" And I'm like, "That's not how this works.
Exactly.
That's not how any of this works." Like but they always speak like, "Oh, it can be avoided." Nah, man, some shit just can't be avoided. Sometimes
Right.
they come at you. So if
Yep.
somebody comes to you and they want to fight you, or whatever, for no reason, what are you gonna do? You gonna stand there and get beat up, or you gonna fight back? You gonna defend yourself? Like, how are you gonna, adapt to that situation? And if you don't defend yourself, you can get seriously hurt. Somebody
Facts.
Easily.
could kill you, and when you're in that situation, the thing on your mind is, I need to survive. I don't want
Mm.
to die. I had to bury my best friend when I was 18. Last year in high school, 18. And me and him, we hadn't spoken like maybe a year. We had a little falling out, but I had to be his pallbearer. So doing something like that at that age, and looking back at my old yearbooks and seeing people that are literally dead or in jail, it really affects your outlook on life, and how you feel about being from the hood, going back to the hood, and it's being gentrified right now, especially in
Mm.
Richmond. But I feel like that's not the only answer. We need more programs for the kids. We need more activities for the youth. We need more things
Facts.
for them to do. I
Facts.
remember I was a teenager. We were bored as shit. So all there is to do is get in trouble. You
Yep.
Yeah.
can't go to
Hmm.
King's Dominion, and you can't go to whatever. There's really no outlet.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
needs to just be more activities for young people, man. We were just going to
Agreed.
the mall deep as shit every weekend.
Right. Right. We
Facts.
all did that.
Man, we used to
Facts.
be at VCC
Oh
deep,
my
Kingston
goodness.
Commons. Like, I'm talking about like 40, 50 deep, yo.
Come on, man.
Go down to South
Yo,
Park.
Man, it's just
South Park Mall.
everywhere.
All of that, man.
yeah, man, it was wild. So, I mean, youth need, and it just doesn't have to be parties. I remember we started going to team clubs and stuff too, but, we need more things, more programs, more opportunities for them, more opportunities for them to work and just establish themselves as young adults. And kind of like we need to really give them a game about voting, about taxes, about everything that they are not trained about in school to really be successful when they become 18. Because when I
Mm.
became 18, and a lot of my friends, we were lost, like we didn't like,
Agreed.
what do we do now type shit. Like,
Right.
we had to figure it out.
Right.
Agreed.
So let me ask you this. So do you have any plans or ideas, potentially, you talk about the youth. You have any plans or ideas where, that you potentially want to launch?
Not me personally. I've had a couple ideas, but I don't think I'm the person to launch these things. But I want to be more involved with things that are launching.
Okay.
So anything that comes about that I can be a part of, that I can help promote, I can help market, or I can help, bring some of my friends in, or bring donors in, sponsors. That's more my lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, Matt. Well, again, thank you, Chief, as always, for conducting the first part of this interview. Yes, it's two parts.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Now, for everybody who listens to the podcast, we have our top 5 segment at the end of the show. And so for our interviews, we decided to do our quick 5. All right. So Juan, we're gonna ask you 5 quick questions. All right, we just need 5 quick, honest answers to each of these questions. All right.
Okay.
Cool. So first up, tell us one thing that you know now that you wish you knew, say when you first started your journey.
That you can do a lot of things by yourself, and that you should always get bar percentages.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because like a lot of people that I've worked with in the past, are the reasons why I didn't do a lot of things that I'm doing now. Because they're like, yo, it won't work. You shouldn't do that. You can't really listen to people. Like you have to really, at the end of the day, make your plan and go for it. You don't need a billion people to make it work. You don't need a billion people to collaborate on a party. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
You have to put actual work into it.
Agreed. Yeah.
Facts. Appreciate that. So next, which public figure that has passed on would you have liked to have met and hopefully possibly talked about each other's experiences, maybe potential business opportunities, simply just pick their brains for their knowledge?
It's so many people, man. I guess the biggest name that sticks out to me, and I hope it's not cliche, but maybe Michael Jackson,
Okay.
and more so not on a personal level, because I feel like you should never really meet your idols per
Mhm.
se. But I would have loved to collaborate with him on, just doing marketing for him or just picking his brain, just with me doing music, just
Right. Right.
seeing him behind the scenes of how he put together certain songs with Quincy Jones and how intricate he was, and it was definitely been some great conversations.
Awesome.
Agreed.
Awesome. I like that. Next, what is your favorite curse word and why?
Fuck. And I mean, it just feels so good to say, and the reason is like it's been a very fucked up year. So every
Yeah.
time,
Facts.
like I always feel like I'm in the twilight zone, and it's just like fuck, shit.
Right. Right.
Every day it's something. Like you guys watch that show Snowfall on FX?
A little bit. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
So I just finished the whole thing. So you got to watch all 3 seasons. It's incredible. But I relate to the main character in some ways of every time you feel like you just came up and you just accomplished something new, there's somebody, this little thing that pops up that
Yep.
could potentially become a big thing and throw everything off track.
Yep.
And it's like, yo, every time it's like, this year was just like, yo, let's do it. Fuck. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
some crazy shit. Then fucking COVID, the world shut down. Because I tell
Yeah.
people all the time, yo, I feel like, just because I don't really compete with other people, the only person that I compete with is Mother Nature, like the act of God. And I feel like you can't go against God when there's a hurricane, when there's, a storm, when it's raining. You can't compete with God.
Thanks.
And God really just like
Yep.
everything off the board. And I was like, wow, and me and one of my best friends, we have this funny thing that we do. Like when something really bad happens, we just like, ta-da.
Right.
It's like, again, like here it is. When you least expect it, ta-da, now present
Right.
some bullshit. Yeah, so.
That's funny.
Got you. Next up, why was it important, or why is it so important for you to represent Richmond and put Richmond basically on your shoulders right now?
It's been almost an obsession, and not just for me, for a lot of people in Richmond who are in the music scene, who are nightlife, who are from here, because I'm one of the only promoters that's black, that's actually from Richmond. Because a lot of people from other places that moved here.
Yeah.
But for me, growing up here and experiencing everything I experienced, and like, seeing how nightlife was and how I wanted it to be,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing that growth where it's becoming more diverse and it's becoming more of like a vibe. It's not just
Okay.
one thing to do; it's multiple things to do, and it's really just been a dream. So it's like seeing your dreams come to reality and just putting on as far as giving your city something dope makes you feel good about yourself.
Facts.
You know,
Facts.
because right now, like between Richmond, I think I'm at 8 events a week, but
Killing it.
across the board, I'm at 10 events a week right now.
Wow, that's big time.
Yeah,
Facts.
I got some more stuff coming.
That's big time.
Dope. All right, and our
expand.
facts. And our final question for our quick five: what and or who do you pray for the most?
That I pray for the most.
Yes.
I'm very basic. I mean, I love Italian, so it'll probably be chicken Alfredo. You know, I'm very basic. I'm that guy. You know how they always make memes about like, oh, what you cooking? Chicken Alfredo. Yeah, that satisfies me. Like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
I hear that. Whatever put you in that mindset.
You said a what?
Whatever put it in your mindset to work and keep motivating your purpose. Hey, whatever you need, feel that purpose.
But I also love salmon. I love steak. I love everything. But you know, like chicken Alfredo is like, yeah, I need. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I feel that.
That makes sense.
Everything's better now.
I feel that.
Well, man, thanks again. Thank you so much, man, for joining us, man. We appreciate it. We've been talking about, coming on and just trying to, set up the perfect timing and everything. So definitely appreciate you for this. Definitely people check out Juan Pierce on IG right now at Juan C4 Pierce. All right. Again, people, thank you. The Politicking Broadcasting app. You can view this episode on the app, which is available right now on the Roku platform.
And thank you again for streaming, y'all, for staying wonderful for us this time. Really know that's us for real.
Right.
And please follow us on IG, TikTok, Facebook, all at the HL Podcast. Be sure to check us out this Thursday. We have episode 59 coming to you on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe now.
So Juan, do you have any closing remarks, any shout outs or anything you want to say to the people?
I just want to shout out to you guys for having me first and foremost, and shout out to all my business partners, Phil Valsi, Octavian, just people across the board, Champ, Bailey, Dash, Sam, Ilias, all my venues. Right now I'm doing events Tuesday. I actually have one I need to head out in like maybe 2 hours. I'm doing Hollywood Hookah every Tuesday. Tuesdays. I'm doing Switch every Wednesday in Richmond. Thursday I have Cabana. I have Pod 314. Fridays I have Nama and Switch now on Fridays. And then in New York on Fridays I have Soul Park. I'm about to start Soul Park on Tuesdays. I'm doing a different brunch on Sundays at Cornerstone. Vagabond on Saturdays when that reopens. So just trying to stay busy, man.
I hear that.
Facts. Peace and love, everybody.
Peace and love.
All right, guys.